everyone. We are back here for our second session, and I'm going to start out by following us up on what we were learning last week. Ada was sharing with us about her experiences as a young girl in Egypt and how her dreams of peace began and why she decided that she wanted to make peace activism her dream. So today we're going to follow up the story, and she's going to share with us how she got to where she is today, what led her to continue going with peace activism. So Ada, thank you so much for having me ask you some questions. And now I wanted to ask you, what happened after you left Egypt, and what led you to continue peace activism from something that you just did as a young girl, so young teenager, to something that you made your life career?
Okay, but allow me to start a little before I left Egypt.
Okay, perfect.
Because the Egyptians did not give the nationality to the Jews. So at school, I knew this girl is English, this one is Egyptian, this one is French, this one is Greek or Italian. And who am I? I was born here, but they say, no, you're not a citizen. So where is my country? Where is my language? And it really hurt, because not feeling you don't have a place which you belong to. And every human being wants to have a place where you belong to. And so I heard there was a girl in a bigger class who was going to a youth movement for developing a place for the Jewish people. And I was very interested, though I was perhaps 11 or 12 years old, very young. And I went to Lillian and I said, what is this place where you go to? It's an organization called Maccabi, which is also sport, but also has an ideal of creating a state for the Jewish people. And I said, wow, this is wonderful. So one day I can have a state of my own. They tell me here you don't have a state. And so I joined this Maccabi, and it was wonderful because we learned Hebrew songs, and we learned dancing, and we had sports, and we talked a lot about Israel. And so in 1948, when the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Egypt at the United Nations said, if you create the state of Israel, we, Arab countries, are going to throw out all our Jews. And they will be the ones who will suffer most. And the state of Israel was established because most of the great majority of countries voted for the state of Israel. And now you Jews, out you go. From Egypt, where I lived, and from all the Arab countries. And on the 30th of November this year, in 5 days' time, we have a memorial. It's a national day of remembrance of the uprooting of the Jews from Arab countries. And it was very, very painful because I had to leave all my books, all my friends, all my life, all my everything behind. And my mother said, you go and prepare. I was 16 then. Prepare your suitcase. And of course, in my suitcase, first of all, I put all my albums. And we were allowed to take only one small suitcase each and to leave everything behind. And she comes, my mother, and sees all those albums in my suitcase. And she says, you have to take things which will be useful. You have to take clothes. You can't. I said, albums are not useful. They're not important. And she says, very important, but you can't wear them. So I had to leave all my pictures.
And where did you go right after? Where did you go?
Yeah, we went to Alexandria. We were in Cairo, to Alexandria, to the port. And this is where the ship was waiting for us. And it took us to Marseille in France. And in France, there was a place where all the refugees from Arab countries came. And there, my father and myself went to the bank to take out his money to be able to come to Israel. And in the bank, the man, and he had put his money in a Swiss bank. And the director of the bank said, "Monsieur, vous n'avez rien. You don't own a penny." And I said, my poor father said, "But I put all my money in a Swiss bank, not in an Egyptian bank." And the director said, "I'm sorry, the Egyptian government sequestered everything which belongs to the Jews, even what they had in foreign banks." And so my poor father had a heart attack, first time in his life, and sometime later he died of this heart attack. And so from a man who had a career, we had a beautiful house, and suddenly we had nothing. And so in my film, which I made now, called The Pomegranate of Reconciliation and respect and honor, I tell my Palestinian brother, because we are all the sons and daughters of Abraham. And so I extend my hand to my Palestinian brother and I say, we, the Jews from Arab countries, went through what you went when you were uprooted. This is why I hate wars. I hated wars still more when this happened. And we arrived here in 1950. In 1950, the state of Israel was just 2 years old. And it's not we, it's me alone. My parents stayed in Paris, in France, and because my father was already very sick and my mother had to take care of him. And she, who was a teacher of a piano teacher, went into the metro and asked, "Do you have a job for me?" And they said, "Can you punch tickets?" And she said, "I'll learn." And she stood there and punched tickets for 8 or 9 hours a day. And I went to a preparation for the kibbutz on a farm in the south of France. And later on, how do we call him? The teacher of our group, who was called Chaim. Chaim means life. And he was also from Egypt. Became my husband later on. And he fell in love with me, and I fell in love with him. And I got married at the age of 17 on the kibbutz.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And I love the kibbutz. It was so wonderful to feel you can put a seed into the ground and it becomes an apple tree, or it becomes an orange tree. And this, when my parents said, "Now we have a grant for you, come and study in the Sorbonne in Paris," I said, "No way, I'm going to stay here. Israel is my son now, or my daughter. She's 2 years old. I have to take care of her." And this is how all my family until now are in Paris. I'm the only one in Israel. And I felt from the very beginning that I was a bridge from Egypt to Israel. Because I had always Muslim friends and Arab friends at school and everywhere. And so I wanted to bring this peace we had in Egypt between Jews and Arabs into Israel. And I went to Bet HaGeffen. Bet HaGeffen is the house of the vine in Haifa. And I, together with a friend of mine, Ruth Liss, and we met two wonderful Arab women. One was called Violet Khouri, and the other one was called Eugenie Chlef. And together we went to every Arab and home. When the man, the father of the house, opened, and we said we come because we want to make an organization of Jewish and Arab women for peace in the Middle East. Hageshe. Hageshe means the bridge. The man said, "What? Out you go," and shut the door. But if it was the woman, the wife, who opened the door and said, "Hello, who are you?" and we said the same thing, "Please come in, have coffee, have cake, tell me a little more about this."
Of course, women. And a lot of the decisions that you had to suffer from, you know, and the Palestinians have to suffer from, is decisions that are made by men. And there's something to be said about that, because we're women in this decision-making process. And, you know, just between the two of us, if it was women making the decisions, things would be different. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. And we are the ones who give life. And so we know how much we have to protect it.
Yeah.
We protect lives. I have a little even tune to this poem. How do you know peace is a woman? Oh, yes, I know peace is a woman. For I met her yesterday on her way to the World's Fair. She had such a sad face, like a flower that had lost her prime. I asked her why she was so sad. She told me her baby was killed in Auschwitz, her son in Vietnam, all the rest of her children in all the wars, in Palestine, in Israel, in Lebanon, in Afghanistan, in Syria. All the rest of the children, she said, are on the list of the dead, the list of the nuclear dead. Unless the whole world understands that peace is a woman. I looked at her and her starry eyes, and I saw peace is a woman, a pregnant woman, pregnant with peace.
Aww, that's so nice.
Thank you.